Do you want to build an amazing castle wall like this? Well, my name's Zion, and I can show you how. The first step in building this castle wall is to find the proper land. So let's grab these real quick. And now, when I'm looking for land, I use something called the C theory. The more your mountain range looks like a C, the better and more efficient your wall will be actually. And this is because you will be using a lot less resources by using the mountain range as part of your wall. This is extremely important if you're in survival mode wanting to build this kind of wall. Alright, and after you found the perfect mountain range, the next step is to outline. And for this case we're using cobblestone. And so right here would be your mountain range that you just found. And then what you would do after that is you'd set your corners and then fill in from there. And now this is extremely important because this is kind of like a painter's canvas. We're going to be building everything off of this outlined cobblestone. Okay, and now after you've filled in your cobblestone wall, the next step is to create the entrance. And so let me grab that real quick. And now this is all depending on how big your wall is, because this example right here is pretty short. We're going to make our entrance pretty short. And so you find your middle, which is right there, and then you make kind of a box, and then you just build up from that box you just made. And then depending on how big your wall is how much more you go outside the box you just made. And so for this size wall, I'm guessing we should probably make that big of an entrance. Okay, after you've created your entrance, next comes the fun part, the pillars. And so you have 3 different kinds of pillars that we're going to be working with today. The first one is the primary pillar, which is what you can see in front of me. These 4 spaces right here make up our primary pillar. The next one is the separation pillar, which comes in between these 2 primary pillars, as you can see in front of us. Now, we can continue with this process and make a super basic wall with a primary followed by a separation, followed by another primary, followed by another separation, on, going along this wall, the cobblestone wall we made. Or we can make it extra exciting and add a third, which is the secondary pillar. And so if we grab these resources right here, we can let's change this pillar into a secondary pillar and see how it changes our wall and how it makes it look a lot better. So let's get rid of all this and this. And we're also going to change up our separation pillar a little bit. Alright, and so let's go ahead and add our spruce wood. Our 2 layers of it. Alright, and so we see that the stone is on the second one. And so we're going to do the opposite for this one. We're going to add quartz on the first one and keep wood on the second one. So the secondary pillar is kind of a contrasting pillar, I guess you could say. And so if we look on here, because these ones are 1 up, we're going to do them 1 down. And now, when you're creating these pillars, you can do it any way that you wish. This is just an example. Alright, and now, so we have the 2 opposites, the 2 opposing pillars. And so now our separation pillar has to have a good transition between the 2. And so this is just another example. You don't have to do it exactly this way. But this way just looks good. And I've tested it out and it looks really good. I like it a lot. Alright. And so that connects our 2 opposing pillars and makes it look really good. If we continue this on, you'll see that this pattern looks really good as we're continuing along our wall. Okay, after you've decided what your pillars are going to look like, next comes the part of adding the roofs. And now, this is just an example. It doesn't have to be exactly like this, but it flows a lot with my pattern that I've been using. And so we have our primary pillars, followed by the separation, followed by the secondary, followed by a separation, followed by a primary. And now when adding these mini roofs, you're going to want to do it on the primary or the secondary, but not both, because it gives you that space in the middle, which looks really good and makes it look a lot more like a castle wall. And so in this case I just used some stone stairs to create this, but you can make them boxy, you can make them look like roofs, you can make them look like anything. Okay, your sixth and final step will be putting it all together, and also decorating your entrance. And so you can see we have our entrance right here, followed by our separation, and you want to do this right directly off of your entrance. You want to have your entrance, then your separation pillar, followed by your primary. And in my case, my primary pillar has the roof on it, and so I want to add my roofs there too. And after you get all that set, you can finally start to decorate your entrance. And so I've just kind of used a lot of stairs, and I also added, using gold, a Z, obviously for Zion. And this puts your entire wall together and makes it look really, really good at the end. Okay, so let's look at that example that we had at the very beginning of the actual wall that I built. And so if we look at this mountain range, it's not exactly a C shape, but it's pretty close, and you see that we have some of this natural wall that we have here. And because it's in creative, it's not as important to have that natural wall, but if you're in survival, then you might want to make your wall a little bit smaller and kind of base it off of that C shape right there. And then, so if we look at the second step, then we created our cobblestone wall. We have our corners and we have everything filled in with cobblestone. And then if we look at the third step, we have our entrance right here, and ours is a lot bigger than the one we made because our wall is a lot bigger, which makes sense. And so if we look at the fourth step, we have our pillars, followed by our primary pillars, followed by a separation pillar, followed by a secondary pillar. And looking at it from far away, that contrast really, really looks good. And it looks good from really far away too. And then if we look at the fifth step, we have our roofs added, and then on the back of the roof we added extra cobblestone in order to continue the backdrop. And then the final step, after putting it all together, I decorated my entrance with a Z, obviously for Zion, and then a lot of stairs. And now I really like this pattern. It looks kind of random, but there's actually is a pattern to it, and it's the same on both sides, and it looks really good. And so there you have it. Now you know how to build a castle wall just like this. And I hope you guys liked it. Be sure to like and comment on this video. Tell me what you think. And comment any ideas that you have for other easy builds that I can make for you guys and give you steps for. Alright, and I'll see you guys later.